you heal a country fractured by the racial divide in so many communities, such as Ferguson? How do you begin to mend these broken communities? I'm now joined by Cornel West. He's a professor at Princeton University, a prominent author and commentator in the United States. Thanks, Professor, for joining us. What do you make of what we've seen over the last 48 hours in Ferguson and across the country as well in terms of protests?
Yeah, I think Ferguson signifies the end of the age of Obama. It's a very sad end. We began with tremendous hope, and we end with great despair. Why? Because we have a Jim Crow criminal justice system that does not deliver justice for black and brown people, and especially black and brown poor people. It's very sad that Wall Street executives can go free, and drone droppers can go free, and torturers can go free, but police who kill our precious children walk free. And we weep and we do fight back, but there's been a kind of class war and a kind of racial war against black and brown youth. And when you get a case like Ferguson, only 1 out of the 11,000 cases do not have grand juries that do not deliver an indictment. Here you get 1 out of that 11,000, but that's just the peak of an iceberg. You got Clinton Allen in Dallas, you've got Tanisha Anderson in Cleveland, you've got Kenneth Chamberlain in White Plains, Eric Gardner in New York, Oscar Grant. We can go on and on and on. This has been going on, and the sad thing is we have a black president, we have a black attorney general, we have a black head of Homeland Security, but not one federal prosecution of a case against a policeman killing a black youth under the 5.5 years where we've had all black folk in place.
West,
so that this is a major.
Dr. West, if I can jump in, we're seen all over the world. I remember personally being abroad outside the United States when President Obama was elected. People were crying in Europe. They saw this as the dawn. They saw this as a dawn of a new era that would also set an example for the rest of the world. But in Europe, and you've had some very harsh words for President Obama. You actually tweeted, Obama's empty neutrality, moral bankruptcy, and political cowardice is now undeniable to even his most loyal cheerleaders. Why are you so harsh on the president? He has spoken of his difficult past as a young black man. He's launched initiatives for young black men as well to better their lives. Why are you so harsh on him?
No, I have a deep commitment to the truth, and the condition of truth is always to allow suffering to speak. And I have a profound love of those Frantz Fanon called the wretched of the earth. So when you talk about persons who are suffering, I don't care if they're being bombed by Israeli defense forces in Palestine. I don't care if they're being subordinated in Russia. I don't care if they're being mistreated in Guatemala, and I don't care if they're black, white, or red in the United States. Poor and working class people need to be at the center, and unfortunately, President Obama chose a Wall Street presidency rather than Main Street. He chose a drone presidency rather than cutting back on the drones. He chose massive surveillance that Edward Snowden and others have revealed rather than protecting rights and liberties, and he chose not to even give one speech that focuses on the Jim Crow criminal justice system that's been targeting poor black and brown youth, saying the era of police impunity is over. The era of lack of accountability of police is over. I am going to ensure as president that every American citizen, especially black and poor and brown, will be treated well. We never got that at all. This is almost 6 years. So it's not really harsh on my point. My part, I'm just trying to tell the truth, bear witness, expose the lies. There's a connection, of course, between the crimes on the one hand and the avoiding and evading the truth on the other.
Dr. West, what does the world not necessarily understand? What does it need to know about race relations in the United States, do you think? What is it still not aware of that it should be?
Well, I think, one, we have to understand the history. The United States began with, of course, the invasion and dispossession of the land of precious indigenous people. So it began as a white supremacist enterprise and then brought in Africans and enslaved Africans for 244 years. Now, we have had great breakthroughs. Abe Lincoln, 1860s, 1960s, Martin King, and President Johnson following through on progressive legislation. But that progress, that breakthrough has affected primarily a black upper middle class and above, but the black working class is devastated. The black poor is rendered more and more demonized, as was Brother Michael Brown by the police when he said he saw a demon. Well, there's a long history of demonizing black people, so that the issues of economic status and class fundamental here.